Hey, thanks for checking out Nuts and Bolts with Tone. Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time here, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. Today I have a 2.1 Sprinter, the 4-cylinder Sprinter, and it needs a fuel filter. I'm going to show you how to replace that fuel filter. It's not super difficult, but it's got some click lock clamps, and I'm going to show you how to take care of that. Let's get into it. So you're going to take the air box off. The clamp is a 7mm. The top connector has a lock. You got to pull the lock down, push the tab, pull it out. Then you have the other sensor right there. Undo that. Now for the battery cable, you're going to push the clip in and lift up. Just be careful. That's a hot wire. When you push that in, that's 12 volts. So it should be covered. On the other side is the same thing, same kind of attachment. It's where the oil fill attaches to the air box. Just going to push in the clip, lift it up. Now the airbox sometimes can be really difficult to pop loose. So I pop it loose like that, and I leave that plastic boot attached to the airbox. Next is the engine cover. There's just 4 little rubber grommets that pop onto a spot on the engine. You just pop it up. So with this though, what I like to do is I set it on top of the airbox. Because what will happen is, you'll put the airbox on, you'll go drive it, you'll forget about it, or it'll be a customer's car and they'll be gone, and then here you have the cover. The other thing I do is I'll put it on top of the windshield, on the windshield wipers, so when I get in the car, I don't forget it. Fuel filter's over on the driver's side of the engine, right in the middle. So this is a bummer. Somebody already changed these to worm drive clamps. Don't do that. Get the tool and take the clamps off the right way. That's what a click lock clamp is right there. They're good. They don't leak. The tool is like 85 bucks from Ossenbacher. I'm going to put a link up here on how to take the click lock clamps off, just so you can see it. So if you've seen my videos, you know I like to use these. The Sharpie oil-based paint markers. Now I use these for everything, but I mostly use them for hose clamps. I mark every hose clamp before I do it. So I just, you want to take your finger, wipe it off. It'll write over dirt and dust and even some oil and grime. So you're just going to take a line and draw it straight across the clamp. The thing is, when you take that clamp off, if you don't put it back exactly where it was, it's most likely going to leak. If you put it back exactly where it was, there's a pretty good chance it's not going to leak. So the worm drive clamps, there's a pretty good chance they're not going to leak. Every once in a while they leak. Well, any clamp has the chance to leak. So I do the same thing to the click lock clamps. Most of the time the click lock clamps will stay attached to the hose. So all you do is click the clamp back together and you're good to go, if it doesn't move off of the hose. So all I do is draw a line right there across the hose and the clamp. There's no guesswork. I used to work for a shop where we didn't replace clamps. We had to reuse them, and you were sitting there trying to figure out if you had the clamp in the exact spot, and if it was over just a little bit, it would leak. So that's where I learned to do this, and it's worked great. So now this is going to be a little bit different because they've changed the clamps. If this had the click lock clamps on it, then you would have to disconnect the connector, pop the 2 clips on the side of the fuel filter, and lift the fuel filter up out of the housing in order to get to the clamps. You just can't do it with the filter sitting as low as it does. But this one has a worm drive, so it's not going to matter. So you can push it here and pop the clip. Another way is like this one's really, really hard to push. I could probably get it if I tried, but it's easier just to go under here like this. Now sometimes connectors are hard to disconnect even though you've popped the clip. And so a little tip that you can do is you go along the side, or you go here like this, and you can do like that, and it gets it started. Okay, now ECM connectors are different. Those you want to spray with air, and also sometimes some WD-40. But
So this connector, it'll come all the way out. It's a little tricky to get out. So that'll just go like that. So now that we got that off, we're just going to go ahead and undo the hose clamp. Now these clamps are not going to stay attached to the hose. Usually on the 3-liter sprinters, I will recommend replacing these hoses when someone has done this with the worm drive clamps. I'll recommend putting in the right hoses and new clamps because I don't want it to leak. And worm drive clamps really shouldn't be used. So now the easiest way to disconnect these hoses, this goes for a 3-liter sprinter or any fuel line really that has a clamp on it. So you just take you some Sail Glide and a pick. Now the pick, the 90-degree pick, it needs to be a complete 90-degree. You can't have a bend on the end. So this one here had a slight bend on the end just from using it, and so I had to bend it back. So you're just gonna wanna stick it in, and you just want a little bit of Sail Glide. It doesn't really matter. You can put too much. It's not gonna hurt it. But then all you're gonna do is, this is really hard with my camera set up, is you're just gonna kind of put it like that at an angle, and you're just gonna kind of run it back and forth. You don't wanna tear the hose. And now remember, this is a pick, so if that hose is somehow glued to the fuel filter, then your pick will go right through the hose, and you'll either realize it when you get done, or you'll figure it out later when it comes back. Hopefully in that case, it would leak while you still had it. So there's that. Now this hose right here, you gotta be careful of because, let me see it, make sure that you can see this. The return line for the fuel injectors is here. So this is the return line for the fuel injectors. So this hose won't pull all the way out. You have a little bit of room. It actually runs over here on the valve cover and comes around to the injectors. So once you've gotten, and if this is a, if you have the click lock clamps, it's best to use a bungee and just pull this out of the way.
So once you've got the hose broken loose, you can usually push on it. You can use like a 90-degree pick. You can use a radiator hook pick. You can use even a trim tool. You just want something that's not sharp, that's going to cut into the hose or push up in there, because then you'll have a leak or you'll destroy the hose. So I'm going to try to get in here for this one here. Try to show you how to do this. It's going to be really hard with my camera. I mean, with my with my camera in the way. I'm going to get a different pick. The long one's not going to work over there. I have a little short 90-degree pick that I use from Lowe's. It's a Cobalt. I use it actually quite often because it's so little, and it works great. So I'm going to try to zoom in here and show you how to do this. So you got to take the pick, and some hoses are really, really stuck. So you want to be very careful. You're trying to just find the right spot to get in between the hose and the line, the hard line, fuel filter, whatever. And then you're just going to work the pick around. Now you want to be careful because it's a pick. It'll put a hole in that hose very easily, and then it'll leak. So I like to use like a trim popper tool and push on the hose like that. You can use like some 90-degree needle nose, or even 45-degree, whatever. So you're just pushing on the hose. Now that hose there will go all the way. Oh, you can pull that all the way and tuck that out of the way.
Not a big deal. And then this one, we'll just push it out of the way as we need to. So it's off. You see we don't have a lot of room to move it. So we're just going to kind of, there we go. Sometimes you can use a bungee if you need to. And so from here, you just have these clips that are over here. And they are like that. And like that. Then from there, there's one more step. So let me try to move this camera around. Okay, So right here, there's a clip. Now there's two different kinds of fuel filters. There's this fuel filter where there has a hose attached to the water and fuel sensor. And then there is the kind that doesn't have this hose attached. Every single one that I have done has had this hose attached. So this hose is going to go under, it's going to go around this heater hose like this, and it's going to come over to right here.
So here's what it looks like right here. You have the clip that you push in and pull out. That's what locks it on. And here's the thing. All you do is turn it to open it and then turn it back to close it. So now you're just going to take the fuel filter and drop it in the housing. On this specific Sprinter, it's going to drop all the way down. So other ones, maybe it doesn't go all the way down. Now, I don't clip the clips on the fuel filter. I want it to be a little loose so I can easily get the connector on and also get the lines on. And then the lines will dictate where the filter needs to be so I can clip the clips. Because they've changed the clamps, the fuel line on the passenger side has to go on first and then the driver's side, only because they put those stupid clamps on there, and so it makes everything difficult. So now I just did a Dodge Hemi radiator, and they had taken the lower radiator hose and they pulled it up way past where it was supposed to be, like an inch past it. So you can see that nub on the right. That's where the hose is supposed to stop. So let's say somebody has pulled this hose up farther than it's supposed to be. Now the hose has worn for that spot in the hose in the fuel filter line where it's bigger. So now the hose is worn to that. So if you try to put the clamp on in that area, then you're going to have problems. So always put it back how it was, and you won't have any issues. So now that we've got the hoses on there, you don't necessarily have to put the clamps on yet, but go ahead and click on the filter now. You can tighten the filter down because the hoses have put the filter where it needs to be. So go ahead and clip your filter, and then you can also start to clip your water and fuel line. Now you can see how the hose that's closest to us is a little bit off. I'm going to pull it down a little bit and tighten it down. Just get it where it needs to be, just so I know it won't leak. Now, I know there's going to be a lot of internet mechanics telling me how stupid putting the lines on the hoses are and how they disconnect so many hoses and they don't ever leak. And I don't really care. I do this for a living, and I don't want anything to leak. I'm trying to help you so you don't have a leak, whether you're a mechanic or you're doing it for your own vehicle. If you do this 5, 8, 10 times and it doesn't leak, and then one time it leaks, that one time is not worth it to me. That one time could cost me a comeback. It could cost me losing a fleet account. Most of these are fleets that I'm doing these on. So we could lose a fleet account. All kinds of bad stuff can happen. It's not worth it. It takes 2 seconds to draw a line. So now you just want to double check everything. Make sure all your hose clamps are tight. Make sure you've connected your connector. Your water and fuel sensor, hose is in the right spot. Your filter's clamped down. And then it should start really easy. Sprinters start really, really easy. Hope you enjoyed this video on this fuel filter. It's not super difficult. Those click lock clamps, if you look at my Amazon store, I have a link to for them. They're Austin Mocker or AST clamps. I think they're the pliers, and they're like 80 or 90 bucks. They are worth it, trust me. BMW uses it for power steering lines. You're starting to see it more and more and more. A lot of Chryslers are using it on hoses. I did head gaskets on a 3.6 liter Jeep, and all the hoses had click lock clamps. So therefore, and this kind, the head swivels on the hose, on the pliers, so it's perfect. So anyways, thanks for watching the video. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell so you get notified of all my future content, which you definitely don't want to miss. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.